Hello everyone, Dean on the street here in Manhattan. I'm here with my special featured guest, Liz Dulberger from the Dulberger Group. Hi Liz.
Hi Dean.
Listen, we're here to talk about some really good stuff. Let's get right to it. Liz, listen, I've been following you and you've got a very, very impressive list of some great people on your roster of clients.
Yeah.
What do you do for them? How do you make them succeed?
It's a great question. I wish I could answer it very shortly, but I am incredibly blessed to work with some of the greatest influencers in this country and try to help them and their offices get it together, so to speak. I advise predominantly leaders, and it varies. I advise leaders at the top end of the game, and I advise entry-level future leaders. And sometimes you just need a resource, Dean. And what I found in this industry is that people are becoming more and more open to coaching, to advisory, and the higher you go, the more people you find, the higher in the organization you go, the more you find people that need resources, that have difficulty making decisions. They're facing some high stakes, sometimes with boards, sometimes with the hiring process or the firing process. Sometimes they just want to improve the culture of the organization and get rid of toxicity and improve morale and bring on some really talented folks. So you name it, Dean. I help people, whether it's their personal journey as a leader or it's their corporate journey in terms of climbing that ladder and seeking that promotion. I recently worked with a guy here in Manhattan. He works for one of the banks, and he's a pretty sharp 29-year-old kid and doing incredibly well. I paired with him to secure a promotion for him, and we worked on that promotion for a few months. He ended up getting $100,000 on top of his salary and an incredible title, not even reaching 30. This city is one of the reasons I love this city. Some incredible talent here in New York, some really young people making a difference, but they need help. They need coaching. They need to be able to integrate into some of these leadership executive teams and these sometimes bureaucratic environments. And the long-winded answer is that's essentially what I do. I advise people in any endeavor they're trying to succeed in.
Liz, these past couple of weeks getting to know you and today in Manhattan, if I could really envision and formulate and your mission, it's loud and clear that it's about integrity.
It is. It's staying clean or keeping your soul clean to the top. It's incredibly enticing, Dean, to get into bed with some shady things on your way up. And as you're trying to climb that ladder and as you're trying to make a difference and empower your teams, it is incredibly important to upkeep your principles, to understand what those core values are, what your principles are, and make sure you exhibit them every step of the way. Eventually, if you don't, what happens is you make it to the top, but you end up facing some of those bumps you ignored. You end up facing some of the consequences that on your way up you didn't necessarily keep intact. So I'm a big advocate of integrity and principles. One of my greatest quotes, and something I put on social media everywhere, is your principles have to stay. You've got to stay true to what they are. It's a very different ball game if you break some of the things that are deep, your core values. You face some great consequences in the end, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. I hope you're not.
Absolutely.
But there's certainly there's something to be said about not every opportunity is a good opportunity. You've got to identify who's presenting it to you, under what circumstances is it being presented. You've got to do a deep dive into the people that you work with every day.
Hey, listen. Whether it be company leaders of today or leaders in any profession or any field, current leaders, I recommend that they meet Liz Dulberger of the Dulberger Group, okay? And if you plan on being a new leader, you should meet Liz Dulberger, okay? Because she's all about that, and she's written a fascinating book that she's going to talk about briefly right now. She's going to be coming out. We're going to get out of Manhattan in a couple of weeks, and she's coming out to Setauket, and that's about 65 miles from Manhattan, my home studio, the Dean
Never been there
Blechman Show.
before.
Never been there before, but she's coming out to suburbia, and she's going to be in my studio. She's going to talk more in depth about her book, but why don't you just share with the audience Smoke and Mirrors?
I did. I wrote a book recently published called Smoke and Mirrors. It's about self-awareness. One of the other concepts besides integrity that I'm incredibly big on is the concept of conscious self-awareness. I think the more you know yourself, the more you identify your weakness, the more successful that you become in this world. And my book is called Strategic Self-Awareness for Leaders and Future Leaders. I called it Smoke and Mirrors because looking in the mirror is tough, and sometimes that smoke is produced by us. I think it's called denial. And it's important to get through it. It's important to face yourself and face who you are and what your incredible attributes are, and also identify what you're not very good at. I think it leads to a very successful life. Pick it up, especially if you're about to embark on a career into the political waters that we call an office.
Wow. So leadership and integrity. Two things. How do they get the book, and how can people contact you?
Well, I'm all over social media. I've got a YouTube channel. I love to spend time and make videos for those who can't necessarily work with me as a coach, that could still have access to me. At Liz Dulberger is my social media. Dulbergergroup.com can get you in touch with me. I speak at many corporate events, many venues. I speak at colleges. So it's not very difficult to find me. I always have time for people's questions. It's one thing I always make time for. So my book is available on Amazon in 7 countries, 5 European countries, Canada, and the United States. So find it, Smoke and Mirrors, Strategic Self-Awareness for Leaders and Future Leaders.
Awesome.
Thanks, Dan.
You're going to hear more from Liz. As I said, she's coming out to the studio in a couple of weeks on the show, the Dean Blechman Show. And listen, leadership and leaders, and if you want to make it to the top, talk about a young lady that's got chutzpah, and also likes going to a good kosher deli, which we did today, and some good kosher pickles. We had some great pastrami.
Incredible.
But I've had one hell of a day today with
too,
you, Liz.
Dan.
It's been super, and can't wait for you to come out to Long Island, out to the suburbs.
Thank you for all you do.
So this is from all of us at the Dean Blechman Show and Dean on the Street, here with my guest, Liz Dulberger.
Thanks, Dan.
Look for her new book, Smoke and Mirrors, Strategic Self-Awareness for Leaders and Future Leaders.
That's
It's
right.
awesome. Pick it up. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thanks.